you ask. Doesn't that rather cheapen the idea of the resurrection of Jesus? But he mistook my purpose. He wanted to know if I believed that had happened. That was what he thought.
Right.
And he said that as a historian, which he also was inclined to doubt it. Right. But that as a Presbyterian minister, he thought it was true. Well, all right then. I'm so see, for me it was enough that I got him to say.
On some GoPro philosophy thoughts on my drive here to New Jersey. Going to meet up with Liz Galato, and I think Brant is going to make an appearance, and Evan. He's not teaching so many group yoga classes right now, so he's been on the surf froth major big time. But listening to this argument about atheism, and they were talking about how the religious side thinks that any criticism of their faith is just rude. I'm frustrated that surfing tries to always raise itself above the level of other sporting practices, and curious as to why surfers feel the need to constantly raise our sport above other sports. And I feel it's the ocean. I mean, you know, it's obviously the ocean and our interaction with nature, but there are other sports that interact with nature. I do agree that the ocean is totally dynamic, and what is specific to surfing is the ocean dynamics and learning the ocean and researching the ocean and having this, you know, ultimately very scientific relationship to the ocean, which I don't disagree that you don't feel like such supreme elation and joy that it feels something like mystical or awe-inspiring, or, you know, to use the word spiritual be just because you lack vocabulary, you know, you just feel like it feels awesome. But I don't want to take away from other sports that awesome feeling of being at the top of your game, really being in rhythm, using what the philosopher Drew Hyland calls responsive openness. Such a great word. Very similar to Aaron James, philosopher of surfing's adaptive attunement, but I'm going with Hyland here. I like responsive openness better, right? And I think that, like, we struggle in our thinking when we try to just say, that's good, that's bad, or you're saying that's the blueprint for this. No, it's a necessary quality to excel at a sport, but it's also a necessary, like Drew Hyland writes, it's a necessary quality to excel at bank robbery or being a mafioso or conning people, right? Like, you know, to be in a it's great for being a pickpocket. Well, like, and there are probably really good societal reasons why somebody turns to pickpocketry, but it's how you apply the responsive openness or adaptive attunement, and it is something that's necessary to be good at a skill, but it's what do we apply the skill towards, and we can take a deeper look at that. So I was just thinking, right, surfing shares these family resemblances to other sports. What is it about sport that feels spiritual? Again, so we get to this responsive openness thing, to this like feeling like your body and mind are completely in sync with one another. Like your play is so integrated, be able to see things ahead of time. Like you have this really like malleable and like interesting and dynamic relationship to time, where all of your past lessons are coming into the way that you're playing. And that part of that is being projected into the future moves that you see. In the context of surfing, it's like being able to see which wave of the set is going to be best, potentially, before it even gets to you, and like just trying to find that position in the lineup. And when you're in rhythm, right, when you're doing that right, and like your guesses like hit the mark a lot, and you're able to project your ability in maybe new ways to you wherever you're at in your practice, like that feels super awesome. And it doesn't matter whether that's surfing or not. In the phenomenality of surfing is that like the really hard thing is reading waves, right? Where the phenomenality looks a little bit different in other sports. So I really do view surfing as this like scientific oceanographic practice where we study waves, and it's sport too, you know, and sports have the scientific element as well. I mean, look at the way that football coaches, like especially with like the way that they like watch other teams and develop these geometries for passes and plays, and like all of the kind of like mapping that goes on. Like for whatever reason in my head, I'm just having this picture of like a lot of the surfers, you know, who like thank Jesus and God at the end of their heats, and it's all up to God, and you know, it's not. Maybe again, like to cue Albert Einstein, if you mean the God of Spinoza, if you mean basically that nature exists and it's bigger than you and there are processes bigger than you, Yes, the intelligence of the athlete is in their play, is in their performance, right? Like, so that's the kind of humility we need, where like I watch a surf video and I just feel so humbled by the natural ability of any of these people. Don't feel humbled by anything that comes out of their mouths at all. For the most part, I would rather they just go surfing, because I really think that, except for a few, like Kelly and Ace Buckin, and there are a few others, there are some smart surfers out there for sure. And also the role that like religion plays in surfing is really interesting. Surfers aren't immune to that like base superstition, lack of education. The God religion answer is just because people haven't done enough research or been exposed to enough arguments to show them that you can still be a good person and not need some kind of benevolent creator deity. So that's my philosophy argument for the morning. And the sun is beautiful, nature is beautiful, and hopefully this 5.5 foot at 9 second south-southeast swell is doing something interesting down here. Gonna have to see about that. Whoa! Yeah. You gonna get tubed? It's a little bigger than we thought today. Although the buoy was 8 feet last night, so.
There's some big ones.
Look at that off the jetty. Woo! Oh man, this looks kind of good.
There's a lot going on out here.
Look at that thing! Whoa!
Oh god.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
So, this little update, getting changed. What I'm wearing, Lite 1 mil socks they got on the inside, super rad. And then the Axxe 7 mil boots. Yes. And these are like 3-season-old 7 mil Ripcurl mitts. They'll do the job. My thumbs get cold, but they're pretty good. All right, so also gotta do it. Ew, that's really gross. It's disgusting. But official plan: go for closeouts. Don't worry about the pipe. That's the official plan. All right, here's the session. Short. Closeout number 1. That thing went too fast for me. And then when I came up, I hadn't seen Brant anywhere. Go under this one. They were running so fast. Strung out, as Evan likes to call it. And there he is. Riding his 6'6". And also getting closeouts. They weren't all closeouts out there, but there were a lot of them. Here's another one. Just too fast for me. Water is about 35 degrees. So when this happens, there's a lot of coldness going on. Moved up the beach a little bit, a little closer to the jetty. See, that wave has just nothing to it there. So that's what mushy is. It's trying to help maybe people who are watching this with understanding this concept that I talk about, the phenomenality of waves. Notice as I take off, I'm positioning at a slight angle, trying to get down the line, which I did not succeed at doing right there. That has to do with wave judgment. I could have been in a rhythm in this session where I got into those ones that were tubing and staying open, because they were out there and I did see them. But I also knew before I paddled out that there was a better than good possibility I wouldn't be in those ones. Okay, here, looking down the line, had to get over to the peak, little check turn there, and then the wave just dies on me. But it wasn't a closeout. I opted to stay busy because I was starting to get cold. There's Brant again. Hey, Brant. This left, Not much to that either. Kick out, reset. Just trying to always find an optimal place to sit. That one looked good. That was right in front of the rocks. So now I'm looking at this peak, looking out to sea. That's been a big theme until I decide I'm in the good enough place. Then I'm going to take off looking down the line. There's Max. Hi, Max. Not tubed here, but just in the pocket. And it actually felt good to have a little steeper wave that stayed open for me there. That one felt good. Felt like maybe the start of a rhythm. GoPro battery is probably at like 20% already. This fellow was surfing pretty good on this fish. Nice to watch other people ride waves, especially when they ride them well. I wanted to catch this one, but instead I did the slow peak down the line, let it kind of tube over my head. Always a fun thing to do. Highly recommend it. As I was saying in the van, definitely the thing that makes surfing what it is our relationship to these waves. Entering in, setting up, I'm probably pig dogging here because I'm backside. That right hand is on the wall. I pull into the tube and there's no way I'm making out of that thing. But it was a nice vision. I heard Evan quote unquote burned me at the end, but not really burning me. I wasn't ever going to make that wave. Another little one off the jetty, little pocket ride, and back out. Sunshine. Makes it really hard to film from land in New Jersey. Here's another one. I'm deeper than the crowd. Looking at all of them, they see me. I'm up. No tube on this one, so I look for a turn section, and I face plant. Again, looking down the line, really close to the rocks, but far enough away. Kick the board out, reset. Definitely glad I wore a leash. Oh, and look at, there's Brant on another one. If this was a student video, I would give long comments about what was wrong with that takeoff, but I think he knows enough to analyze that himself. Again, looking down the line. The whole purpose is to go down the line. Little check turn, and the GoPro battery is over. It was fun. It was closeouts. The camera died right when I really started getting into rhythm. It was a fun session. Not the best surf ever, but good time. A little too big for Liz. Saw Brant out there, but he wasn't in a session. Riding his 6'6". You know, the toes are white. And got to get them dry before I put them. I never put wet, soggy feet into my shoes. Seeing traffic on the belt.
The unfavorable and the neutral.
Construction, then an accident. This looks like another accident, honestly. There's a 3-car pileup back there. And now I'm listening to a book on free will.
Free floating. Set of reasons that I once had a dog who loved to fetch tennis balls, but faced with 2 balls on the lawn and unable to hold them both in his mouth at once, he would...
This is not the spot. Not the spot. Every beach faces a different direction. Every swell has a different direction. Winds have the different little directions. They all combine. So you gotta check different spots. Definitely surfable. But just a little cold for how crappy it is. There's energy out there. And time to rinse the stuff out. bucket to bucket here. Just like that. So everything drips in the bucket. Maybe in the bucket like that. And then into the office. Turn on the shell light. Dissertation. And gonna get to it. Book club. What's going on tonight? The preface. Having a Patreon page, just Patreon-Canada Surf Club. I don't have the tiers set up yet, but maybe I'll go in there and like throw a few things together if you want to be an early adopter. But yeah, so we're getting this thing rolling.